tell you one more detail of the story. At the time, Catherine had a boyfriend who was on the wrestling team, this big macho kind of guy. And he wanted to know where Catherine was going. She said, I'm going to run a marathon. He said, what's a marathon? It's a 26-mile race. He said, oh, you're going to run 26 miles? I can do that. I'll come with you. Now, you know, kind of the guy macho mentality. He was not training for a marathon. He just thought, well, whatever she can do, I can certainly do. So he shows up at the starting line as well. So we have KV Switzer, we have her coach, and we have the big boyfriend, and they start the race. And at the very beginning of the race, by the way, do I have any marathon runners in here? Anybody? Okay, if you've ever ran the Boston, the New York Marathon, it gets a little chilly in the morning, right? So in the morning, Catherine had on a hoodie and sweats. They started the race. The official sees a lady running in the race. Well, he has a fit. He goes, who the heck is that lady in my race? He runs out to pull her off the race course. Now, you see this picture? You see this guy doing this big body block? That's the boyfriend. So he was very useful to have there. So he throws the body block. The other guy is the race official. Catherine looks around, and the boyfriend and the coach go, run! So Catherine Switzer was the first female to officially complete a marathon. And in the year 2008, this is not an issue of whether or not a woman can run over 26 miles. I mean, clearly we can do that. Why am I telling you this story about Catherine Switzer? And how does it relate to leadership? This event had a tremendous impact on this young lady. She didn't like what happened, and she decided that she would spend her life working to make sure that women had equality in sports, that there was equality in gender. She really did a lot of great work. She partnered up with Avon. She did become an elite runner. She did win the Boston Marathon. She ran in New York, won a few times. She is still a runner. She is also a commentator on ABC News, so you might see her around. And this is one of her quotes: all you need is the courage to believe in yourself and put one foot in front of the other. As nurse leaders, you guys need courage. And I know that you could tell me stories about courage. What do you need courage to do every day in your job? You need courage to change direction. You need courage to decide, you know what? We thought this was the right thing to do, but in looking at it a second time, maybe we need to try something else, right? So you need courage to do that. You need courage to fire, and I'm not going to sugarcoat the word, to fire a nice person that isn't doing their job. And there are so many stories of people that are not doing their jobs, and you sit down and you have that performance discussion, and then for 6 months they're on their best behavior, right? You think everything is fine, and then all of a sudden their behavior goes down into the toilet again, and then you have that other performance. Does anybody know what I'm talking about here? So I have a friend, her name is Sue O'Boyle. She is a senior nursing officer for Orange Regional Medical Center. I think the world of her. She is a phenomenal role model. And I went out to lunch with Sue, and we talked a lot about this issue. And she told me about the first time she had to fire someone, how scared she was, how she didn't want to do it. Because, you know, nurses are usually pretty nice people. And we don't like to do that kind of stuff. But she goes, today? She goes, I could fire anybody. Now, does she like to do that? Absolutely not. Is it part of your job? It absolutely is. So you need the courage to do that. You need the courage to take the blame. You need the courage to say when something goes wrong, you know what? I was in charge. It was on my watch. Right? You need the courage to support the people that you're working for. You need the courage to be a patient advocate. And that's not easy all the time. At times you're putting the patient's interests first, and you're having these really difficult conversations with other people about that. You need the courage to stand up to physicians, to be assertive and say to a physician, you know what? I don't appreciate being spoken to in that way. Right? How many of you have done that? As opposed to letting somebody walk all over you. Working with physicians, it is easy or is it challenging? I mean, healthcare is such an unusual industry because you have these weird dynamics, right? You have the hospital staff, the administrative staff, then you throw in all these physicians. Some of them have these huge egos, maybe a little bit of arrogance, and they think they're just going to order you around, right? And you're the one that has to stand up to them. Because your nursing staff, they might not have the confidence to do that. So they're watching you. And then the courage to admit mistakes. So lots of things you need to dig deep within yourself and say, you know what, if I don't have the courage today, I've got to find it. I've got to develop it. I've got to maybe talk to somebody about how do I get that courage? Do I need a mentor? Behold the turtle. He makes progress only when he sticks his neck out. Sometimes it's risky to have courage and to use courage. Right? What else do you need to do as a leader? You need to be what I call a champion of change. Now, I'm not talking about announcing a change. I'm talking about leading, pulling, pushing, helping move people through change. The only thing we can really say about change is it's constant and it's inevitable. Right? I mean, that's it. That's all we really know about change. It's constant and it's inevitable. And organizations get themselves in trouble when they do things like announce a change. They get everybody together. They have a meeting. They say, folks, there's going to be a big change coming. And they say what the change is, and then the meeting's over. And they expect everybody to just be okay with it. Well, it doesn't work that way, right? There's fallout from the change. Your job is to pick up those pieces and move people through the change. Now, right now, I would like you to write down the names of 3 people that you work with every day, day in, day out. 3 people that you see on a daily basis. Either write their name down or mentally think about them. And I am going to give you what I call my Wild, Wild West characterizations of change. And as I talk about these types, I want you to think about the 3 people that you work with, okay? So the first type is what I call the trailblazer. Now the trailblazer, this person really loves change. The trailblazer is ready for anything, full speed ahead, lots of courage, takes some risks. They don't necessarily need a map. They're not too concerned whether or not they're going in the right direction. They're just going. Right? They're not too concerned about the raging river. Right? Their attitude is, well, you know what? If I reach a raging river, I'll figure out how to get over it. But I'm not going to worry about it until I get there. So don't waste my time worrying about things that haven't even happened yet. Right? Now, you have trailblazers in your organizations. Maybe you're a trailblazer. The next kind of person we have is what I call the settler. Now, the settler, they're willing to go along with the change as long as other people are going along with the change. They want company. They feel safe when there are numbers of people around them. The settler also wants supplies. The settler wants a map. The settler wants answers to the questions before they get in the wagon. And the settler wants to know, when I get to that raging river, is there going to be a bridge? Well, did somebody think about the bridge? Well, what if I get there and there's no bridge? I might have to come back, right? So we have this settler kind of mentality in the organization. And then we have what I call the stay-at-home types. Now, the stay-at-home types are very well-meaning individuals. It's not that they're against change.